Welcome to the Vertex Podcast. I'm an artist and designer based in Stone Mountain, Georgia. My work covers anything from design and video games to murals across the globe. I'm sitting down with creative professionals of all types each week to get more into the human side behind their incredible work. I get into their life stories, I get into their challenges, and I get into what fuels their creative drive in hopes to show you that your journey might be similar and that your dreams might be closer than they appear. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it.
Good. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, it works.
Yep, everything's cool. You're in the studio too.
I am. I
Man,
am.
got some oh, you know what? Matter of fact, some of the pieces I see up there, like some that I put on the post too.
Let's see. So let me move this thing around. Yeah, you can kind of see
Yeah, look at those.
some things I'm working on. Oop, wrong way. Mirrored.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at that.
And then I have, let's see, this way. Some other things I'm working on.
Oh
That big
man,
guy.
moose, man. I didn't know that moose were so huge.
They're
Is
so
it
big.
meese or moose? I always forget the
Moose.
plural of moose.
Ah,
Is it just
I think
moose?
mooses or moose. I think it is just moose like sheep. Let me Google this real quick. Moose or mooses? Yeah, it's just moose. Yeah,
It's moose.
just like
Okay,
sheep.
word. Yeah, those things are huge.
Yeah, they're massive.
And I was like, I don't know. I thought they were always like the size of maybe a like a bear or something, but no, those things
No, yeah,
tower. Like it'd be kind of
massive.
scary to see one. Like I know people in Alaska, like moose, especially in the winter, moose are just like normal. Like it's normal for moose to just pull up in the driveway, like looking for food in the tree. And I'm like,
Oh
bruh,
yeah.
can't even
That's
imagine.
Can you imagine like having moose around like we do like fox?
Yeah, like,
We have
mm-mm.
foxes and coyotes, but they have mooses and there's some places have elk, they're just as large.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, I'll even get deer sometimes in the backyard, and
Mhm.
even seeing those are like really, they're just intimidating. I'm not necessarily afraid of them, but I'm like, they definitely
Oh yeah.
demand respect when you see them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't
It's
wanna
like,
mess with them because they can definitely damage you.
mm-hmm. And let it be like a buck deer too. Mm-mm. I'm all good, not trying to get speared.
It's a good thing we just have deer though, and we don't have, I don't know, like mountain lions. Can you imagine? I always think about people in Colorado just hanging out, going on a hike, and then they have to listen to certain noises because sometimes they chirp like birds and they go, oh, that's a mountain lion.
I didn't know mountain lions chirp. Really?
Yeah, yeah, they do.
What?
Sometimes they scream like women.
What?
Yeah, they make the craziest noises.
Interesting. Do they make like cat sounds? Do they growl and like
Yeah, they
hiss and
growl,
stuff?
but I think it's like a communication thing. Sometimes when they're in the trees, they'll chirp to each other.
Mhm.
And, I don't know why they scream, honestly. I heard it happens at night, and people are like, "Oh, is that a woman screaming? Is that somebody in distress?" But no, it's a mountain lion.
Mm. I wonder if it's like a lure technique, like to try and lure prey.
Let me see. I'm gonna look up why they do it.
Luring.
We're learning.
Yeah, that's how it
Oh, to
be.
announce they're ready to breed. Okay,
Interesting.
so they scream.
That's cool. Well, it's really cool to have you on the show. I just want to thank you again for being willing to jump on here and just chat a
Of
little
course.
bit.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun to chat with people, especially those you work with and you don't really get to know.
Yeah,
Like, we've known
that's
each other for years.
literal years, and I mean, it's just so much that we don't know, and so
Mhm,
it's cool. Like that's, I mean, I told you about this earlier. It's been the whole reason this show even exists. So I'm
mhm.
just like, I would be trying to do this by myself anyway, but I figure I just let everybody else learn alongside you, alongside me.
Mhm.
Yeah, but um, I guess to start, I know that a lot of times as professional artists, sometimes we can go back and look at where the creativity all began, you know? And I can think about, I mean, some of my earliest memories were like seeing either cereal boxes or billboards and seeing just like goofy, silly characters on there and really enjoying them so much that I wanted to, like, this was my only way to kind of connect with this thing is like
Mhm.
to be able to draw it out and like and have it. And I would even take drawings and be like, I would take drawings to bed with me like a stuffed animal because I'm like, this is just like the way that I know how to connect with this thing that I enjoy so much.
Mhm.
And I'm curious to know for you, what is your earliest memory or earliest context of something that inspired you to create?
That's a really good question. So I would say what's interesting is that my very first memory as a child, I was born in Hawaii and my mom would take me to the aquarium all the time.
Mhm,
So my earliest memory is looking at this really massive aquarium and there was a diver in there with a sea turtle and it I've always loved sea life and I would draw I mean I would draw horses all the time because I was wildly obsessed with horses. That probably developed a little bit later on when I was like 5 or 6, but my earliest memory I was just a baby.
mhm,
And it was that, but even when I started drawing, I was drawing turtles and horses and dolphins all the time. And
mm,
then yeah, I was always doodling. I was a social child, yet I was happiest when I was just by myself in a corner drawing. So I entertained myself as a child, and my mom got me all kinds of different tools to keep myself entertained. But another good memory would be, you know when Lisa Frank was a thing?
is that the lady
Mm.
that does all the rainbow notebooks and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember that? I was
Mhm,
absolutely obsessed with anything Lisa Frank and colorful, which is funny because I do black and white, but she was such an inspiration, and I think dolphins and horses really stuck out around then too.
mhm,
But I would recreate it and try to figure out how to draw, going from really flat 2D drawings, and I was only like 5 or 6, and I was trying to figure out how do I draw this other leg without it looking like it's on the same surface as this other leg,
mhm,
and I would study all kinds of different drawings, and I think Lisa Frank was a little bit later, but I do remember using her stuff as a reference, like, "Oh, this leg goes in the back," and I was always looking
mm,
at other people's drawings and trying to figure out how to do things, but it was always animals now that I think about it.
mm,
But when you said notebooks, that stuck out to me. I was like, "Wait, I was obsessed with Lisa Frank." And there used to be these I need to find the artist, but they used to have these notebooks with for some reason, dolphins and humpback whales were such a thing at this
mhm,
one time, and they were all over notebooks along the time with Lisa Frank, but I was obsessed with humpback whales and galaxies. There was a
mm.
period where I did nothing but draw dolphins and humpback whales.
Dang. Yeah, those are, I mean, those are some of the smartest animals too. Like,
Yeah,
at least I'm not entirely sure about the humpback whales, but I did
oh,
a little bit
absolutely.
of research about like orcas and stuff, and
Mhm.
those things are ridiculously smart, especially in groups. Like they coordinate and communicate, and the way that they will in order to get like birds, like they'll throw fish out and then like lure the bird and then catch the bird too and then get the fish. I'm like, how are y'all even? I didn't know they were like that, advanced like mentally, but it's really cool to see.
I mean, learning about individual animals and how they operate and the fact that they have their own I mean, they're born once they're born, they're like just it's automatic, it's natural for them to know exactly what to do, which is really wild.
Yeah.
Aren't we lucky as people where we're just like little meatloaves for a while and we can develop and learn life, whereas animals are like, all right, we're gonna be eaten if I don't stand right away.
Right. I mean, immediately, I mean, things will come right out the egg and just start walking. And I'm like, I don't know how long it takes like baby humans to start walking, but I know it's not immediately and it's not soon. What do you think that it was about animals in particular? You said that you focused a lot on animals as a
Mhm.
kid, and Do you have any idea as to why it was animals in particular that stood out so much?
Um, I've always grown up to be around animals and just kind of connect with them because my dad was always out. So TDY is where military members, they have to go on long mission trips. So he's
Mhm,
gone all the time. So mom, to entertain me and herself, would go out in the mountains to look at birds, go to zoos, and I also have a half sister who used to work in SeaWorld. So whenever I visited her too, I would actually get up close to the animals and family members. I volunteered in zoos and stuff. So I was always around them, always a constant. And even if
mm,
I watch cartoons and stuff, instead of like main characters like Flintstones, for example, I was obsessed with Dino. I'm like, I don't care about the people. I only care about this dinosaur.
okay,
And
yeah.
that's anything, any characters, cartoons or whatnot. I was always drawn to those more than the people. But also I grew up in Korea, and the only American channels I was allowed to watch, because I also had a Korean mother, so Tiger Moms.
Mhm.
Not allowed to watch cartoons. I was very limited. Only if I was really sick and really sad, I was allowed to watch cartoons. But it's
Mhm,
always like Discovery Channel or Animal Planet. And even when I visited the States, my mom limited me, like, okay, only educational. You can do history, Discovery, or Animal Planet.
mm,
So I think it always just kind of resonated. I've always been drawn to them, want to learn more about them, and kind of grew up consistently being shown how to learn about them.
mhm,
So, oh, another cool thing is I was really into video games as a
mm,
child too, so, like computer games and stuff, but again, I was very limited to what I could play. It has to be educational.
mhm,
So the stuff that my mom could buy at the PX at the time, which is like a military base, just like store, you can get appliances there, games, or whatever you need, it's on base. So whatever was there that I could do is like there's a game about sharks, and it was
mm.
just learning about everything about sharks. I'll just watch like they'll show you like pictures of just the tip of its tail and you have to identify it. Like I got to that point with
Dang,
sharks and horses. So
man.
yeah, my mom just kind of in a way trained me to be obsessed with animals now that I think about it.
Yeah, it's like you had a choice, but you didn't. It's like you're gonna be around these animals
Yeah.
regardless. Just glad that they're fun. That's
Mhm.
so. Did you have any pets in the house?
I didn't until a little bit later, which is really weird to think. My mom didn't really like animals in the house and
Mhm,
even dogs, but today you would never guess that. She kisses on them, loves on them all the time. They're her babies.
mhm,
But it took a special friend for her to meet to be able to learn that you can, coexist with an animal like a family member.
mhm,
Um, but no, even though I was always around them, I didn't always have pets, and it didn't happen until I forced my mom to get me a dog.
mm.
I
When
think that
was
was like
that?
middle schoolish, I think, because all
Oh,
my friends
okay.
are getting dogs. I'm like, Look, she got one.
Want
What
to
about
join the
me?"
club? Come on
Yeah,
now, don't leave me out.
it was so
Hmm.
sad.
So then, okay, so you you said you were born in Hawaii. You grew up in
Hmm.
Korea. When did you go from Hawaii to Korea?
So I was in Hawaii up until I think I was around 3
Mhm,
or 4. I remember visiting Korea pretty often because my mom, she's always been in Korea, and Hawaii was like her first international travel.
mhm,
So she couldn't stay there any longer. So for my mom, they went back to Korea. So I was around 4 or 5. And
mhm,
then I think because at the time what my dad was doing at his position, he can only be there like but through tours. So you can only do like 2 years or 4 years, and you have to go somewhere else and you can go back.
mhm.
So I think he did another 2 years in Korea, and then we moved to Florida.
Hmm,
And then from Florida back to Korea because he had to fulfill those, the time away. And then we stayed in Korea and kind of moved around just in Korea, different sub cities for another like 11 years. Then I went to Puerto Rico. That was in high
interesting.
school. I've been
Puerto Rico in
everywhere.
high school.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, Puerto Rico, and then stayed there for about 2 years because I could not speak Spanish and it was really difficult as a high schooler. So
Mhm,
then, also I want to go to college in the States. So fulfilled my last 2 years in high school in Georgia and been here since.
Hmm.
That
So
was
then did
2017.
2017?
2007. Sorry, not 17.
Oh. So did you so was going from Puerto Rico to Georgia, was that more so your choice, or was that like the family's moving again to Georgia?
It was everybody. So my mom was having a really hard time flourishing because she was like the only Korean on the island,
Mhm.
and she has to have her kimchi and Korean food, and
Mhm.
it's really hard for especially Koreans to be somewhere without their Korean traditional food.
Mhm.
So she had a really hard time. And for me, I had a hard time my first year, and then I started to feel like it was home. And then when that started to happen, we had to move. But I was kind of used to that, unfortunately.
Mm. So like what was that? I'm curious to know how that felt, growing up. Like I'm
Mhm.
sure as a kid, I mean, you're just kind of taking in life as is because you don't know anything else. But
Mhm.
in terms of just through those years, can you tell us a little bit about what maybe your daily life was like in terms of maybe the things that you were interested in hobby wise, or were things challenging like at school, or like was it difficult to kind of make friends and stuff because of how often you were jumping around?
So I would say that because I jumped around so much, it's easy for me to adapt and make friends. So it made me social. Whereas I feel like if I never did that, I would be a little bit more quiet, shy, and reserved.
Hmm.
Although I am those things too, but I'm pretty good at, being in social places and be able to talk and be extroverted. But I will say that I was always a new girl. So I was so used to being the new student and I knew what to expect that later on as I got older, because I got so used to it, I'm like, I didn't really like how things went last time. Maybe I'll do this differently, or maybe I want to I don't know, give this kind of persona, or I don't know, I kind of had fun with it later on. But the biggest culture shock for me was probably going from Korea to Puerto Rico.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, that was the craziest because I've never been to Puerto Rico and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know the culture or anything either. So, I mean, I'm a very open-minded person because I am used to kind of moving around different places. But in Puerto Rico, when they greet you, they kiss you on the cheek, which is really sweet. But
Oh.
imagine my mom's shock when everybody is, and she hates hugs too, by the way. Our family on the Korea side, they don't like being touched or hugged. It's just not in their culture. So
Mm.
being bombarded with hugs and kisses on the cheek, and she's like,
It's
"What's
like,
happening?"
Get off me."
But it was so sweet, I loved it, and then going from Puerto Rico to Georgia, and I got so used to doing that, that the first person I did, like, met, I'm like, "Oh, hi," shake your hands and kiss them on the cheek.
And they're like, okay,
So,
thank you.
I'd say, like, I mold pretty easily, and it gets to the point where I'm like, "Oh, this is home, like, this is normal." I can, normalize everything pretty fast,
Mhm.
but the hardest thing is, not knowing when you're gonna leave, so then I don't know, it is weird as a kid where you think, "Should I invest all my time into this, or are these the friends I wanna keep communicating with? What if I just
Mhm.
move, like, next week?" So, it's weird having those internal battles, but as
For
far
sure.
as experience-wise and as an adult, I think it was one of the best things for me.
Yeah. That's that's interesting. I'd moved around a couple of times as a kid, but it was all in Georgia. Or we
Mhm.
we did go down to Florida in middle school, or whenever I was in middle school for a little bit, but I did get a similar feel of like moving around so much
Yeah.
like you're kind of hesitant to kind of invest yourself in certain relationships and things. But
Mhm.
I'm curious to know if you still keep in contact with some of these friends to this day. Because I mean, I still have homies like in Florida, or like even people that I've known, from all the
Mhm.
different parts of town. Do you have any people like? Do you just have friends all across the world like that?
Yeah, I do. I have friends all over the world, especially because I went to many different military schools. So all of us, we're world travelers anyway. We have to, our parents are stationed all over the world. I have friends like in Europe. I have friends still in Puerto Rico, Korea, even friends in Australia.
Mm,
Everybody's been scattered everywhere, and some of them that remain in the military, which is also wild.
hmm.
So it's pretty 50-50, like 50% of the people, because they're so used to the military life that it's wild seeing their children going through the military brat lifestyle that we've been through.
Mm.
It's really cool having friends everywhere, and I keep in touch with everyone. And even if it's not consistent, there are some people that you're like, oh, hey, checking in, you're alive. Talk to you next year.
Yeah, yeah. And I think by the time you get to that level of friendship, once you got just years and years in the tank,
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of like a tree, like it'll just you can hit somebody up months and
Yeah,
months later and you guys can just hit the ground running like nothing happened, versus newer friendships tend to take a little bit more water and
yeah,
just like care, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And so that's
definitely.
interesting. Um, so then,
So I could go anywhere and
what'd
have
you
a
say?
place to stay. I said I could basically go anywhere and have a place to stay.
Man, that is clutch. That is very
Yeah.
clutch. I've made some friends, more so across the country. Like, I got friends in different like coasts and stuff like that. And it
Mhm.
is really nice to be able to check in with those people whenever you get to their place. And like, even if you don't stay with them, it's like just cool to have somebody in your corner that's
Yeah.
local to show you like good places to eat or like keep you out of the dangerous areas of town. I think that's like probably the best way to travel.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So, okay, what kind of okay, so then based on that, did you ever have your artwork make the friends for you? Like, were
Mm,
you were
in
you
a
that kid
way.
that could draw
So I
that
was
like
always the art girl in every class. I was the one that drew, and if there's a group project or anything, oh, she's the one that can draw.
mhm. Yep,
So
everybody's your
everybody came
friend.
over to me. Yep, yep, exactly. But I was always doodling, always drawing, and I remember I never really thought about, being the designated art girl up until I remember 5th grade. There's this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was also very talented and showed up and was drawing, and I remember a bunch of students rushed over to my desk, said, "You're not the only one who can draw now." And I was like, "Excuse me,
Mm.
what? Who's this person?" And yeah, I remember just being like, "No, that has to be me. I'm the art person." And, each year I was in the yearbook too, being like the most artistic and all that. So it was
Oh, yeah.
always in me.
Hmm. So did you have so with that person, was it more so of like a competitive outlook or was it more of like, let me see if he likes to draw the same kind of stuff I draw?
Um No, I kinda remained quiet. I just, from afar, watched what he drew. It was very different from what I was doing anyway. So, at first, and, internally, it was a competition, but
Hmm.
yeah, not
Cool.
exactly.
Hmm. So I was doing a little bit of research and I heard that when you were younger, took, you participated in a couple of competitions.
Oh, yes.
And so can you tell me a little bit about those? Like, I've never won an art competition before. Like, and I'm so upset because I was the art kid everywhere I went. And I'm like, why do people, I keep losing. I keep losing this. Like, how are people winning these things?
Well, the both times that I won a competition, I didn't really enter because, I was just, like, seeking for it.
Hmm.
So, one of them was, like, a coloring competition, and it was just I think 2 days before it was supposed to be turned in, a teacher was like, "Hey, you really should do this. Like,
Hmm.
really think about it, do it." So then took it home, didn't really think much about it, colored it, entered it, and then of course they told me, "Oh, you won." I don't know if a lot of people entered it, honestly, because the way the teacher's like, "Come on, come on, come on."
Like,
So
come on,
in a way, I'm like,
please.
I don't really know if I won because, like I was the best or is just, maybe the cleanest one out of the 3 people who entered something. And
Hmm.
then another one, I remember it was like I think it was for DARE,
For dare? What's dare?
DARE, for the drug, what was it?
Oh,
Drug
okay, yeah.
awareness. something something dare.
Woo, I don't remember the acronym, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay,
Uh-huh.
so those people, they walked in, and then it was also for Earth Day. So they said, "Hey," they just walked into the class and handed out paper, so we didn't really have a choice. And they said, we need everybody here to draw for a competition for Earth Day." So at the time, I was just like, "All right, what represents Earth Day? I don't know." I just drew trash and then put a big X on it and turned it in, and then that won. And then they printed it, blew it up, and put it on a giant water tower on base. So it was really
What?
interesting. I was just like, "Oh, interesting. Okay, I should have thought more about that."
I didn't know it was going all the way up there.
Yeah, so both of them were just kind of like, "Okay, I guess I'll do it." But, I didn't put my all into it like I should, but they still won, so it was
Mhm.
pretty cool.
And what grade or what age were you at this point?
One was in 2nd grade, I think that was the coloring one, and then
Mhm,
the other one was, like, 4th grade or something like that. I was pretty young.
mhm. Do you think that those competitions had any sort of effect on your self-esteem or your confidence in, like, in your art?
Not much confidence, it's more, "Okay, maybe I should actually, whatever that's put in front of me, I should actually put my all into it or pay or, put a little bit more thought into it." So,
Mhm,
basically, I don't half-ass anything anymore.
mhm.
It's just
Cool.
those moments. Because I always look back and go, "Man, if it's up there and I'm looking at it constantly too, I'm like, everybody sees this too. I could do so much better." And I keep telling people like, "I could do so much better than that, I promise." So I
Mm,
try to prevent that now.
for sure, for sure. I man,
Mhm.
one of the best pieces of advice I got was from, Tommy Bronx. He told me, "You gotta keep hitting home runs."
Yeah.
Every time they pitch at you, send it over the fence. It don't matter what it is. And that way it's like no matter what happens, like you just prevent yourself from ever being in a position like that. Cause like you said,
Mhm.
you never know how far something will go, or who will
Mhm.
see something. So just keep hitting
Mhm.
home runs, man. And like you can't lose like that.
Exactly. You gotta put your all into it. If this is gonna be your passion, if you're being noticed for it, might as well be
Mhm.
noticed for, putting your whole heart into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you know that you wanted to be a professional creative, like, from a young age?
Not really, because growing up with my family, they were really worried about that. They said, we want to help foster this creativity, be this creative person, like think outside the box always, but I have to be some kind of doctor or has to be something lucrative. They never thought art is a lucrative thing because growing up in Korea, especially as a kid, it's really kind of looked down upon. It's if you're going to be an artist, I really hope you marry a rich man kind of mentality.
Mm, okay.
So it's not exactly what I thought. I wanted to be the best artist, yes, but that was just like a personal thing, but I never thought it would be a job ever.
Mhm. What did you wanna do for a job?
I was all over the place. I don't know, even in college, I was like, "Okay, I'll do this, I'll do that." And it was mainly just to fulfill family's needs and wants.
Mhm,
So I thought, all right, if I'm going to be some kind of doctor, maybe I'll be a veterinarian. And I tried to go to school for it, but it's really hard, if it's not really your passion. And I still didn't know what I want to do because I knew I'm an artist, but I'm like, how does this skill go into, veterinary medicine? And but later on, I started to figure out I could do anaplastology. This is all while I'm in college. So anaplastology, it's a dying profession. So
mhm,
it's prosthetics of the face. So like working with wounded warriors and growing up military, I thought, that made so much sense. Art and biology, you could put that together.
mhm,
But I mean, while I was going to school, I think 3D printing was just beginning and like cell printing and all that was starting to be talked about. So it became a really quickly dying profession and the schools accepting that kind of schooling became really rare. And Johns Hopkins was the only school that was taking anaplastology students and only one student a semester. So
1 student a
one
semester?
student a semester. So the competition was so crazy that I thought, wow, I thought, it is a really weird and rare path. that nobody really thinks about, but it was so rare that like only one person can make it. And even if they did become an anapostologist, it's like how far can you go with the 3D printing
Yeah.
and AI and all that? So
Yeah, that was, I mean, people didn't see it at the time, but that was right around the corner
yeah.
too.
Yeah, it was really
Mm.
developing. And I tried really hard to get my feet into the door with Touch Bionics because they do like robotic arms and stuff. But then later on, they don't need the artist anymore. It's more robotics and mechanical. So
Mm. Yeah.
it's weird. And every time I thought of something unique, it's like something shot it down. It wasn't meant to be.
So then when was that point of like, okay, like you gave in to like your creative pursuit?
So after about to finish school and taking a lot of biology classes, I thought, what can I do with this? And there wasn't anything that I would be happy with. It would be like, oh, work at CDC as a researcher or something very unfulfilling. And I was trying to think in terms of maybe I'll go back to school and like go into medicine, but I'm not exactly a left brainer either, so I would have to work really hard and it's not something I want. So I I remember calling my parents just, like, crying, like, "I don't know what my future looks like, I'm so
Mm.
unhappy. I don't want like, when I graduate, I have nothing I really wanna do. There's only, like, 3 paths I can think of." So and I've been painting and trying to be more creative and trying to find ways to make myself happy, so my dad actually my dad's the one that actually said, "Hey, why this makes you happy, why don't you at least get a degree in that too, pursue that, and we'll talk to your mom later. Just go ahead
Mm.
and see if you like those classes." So I did, and when I took those classes, I also took some business classes because marketing and business kind of go hand in hand with art. And I didn't know until I've met like a few professors, and they really like pushed me that direction. Like you can be the most amazing artist, but nobody will ever know who you are unless you know how to promote yourself and talk business. So
Yeah.
did
Some
that,
good
and once I
professors.
learned yeah, those are the good professors.
Mhm.
So, and I had both. I had bad ones and good ones, but the ones that really like taught me life lessons, they're the ones that are like, all right, you need to pursue like the business side, like know how you're going to do your taxes and all that stuff. Like that was smart. So that is the approach I went with my mom. I'm like, all right, as an artist, you can make money doing A, B, C, D, and E. I could do multiple income streams. um, I'll think of like an entrepreneur. So she thought, all right, you sound like you know what you're doing. You have the skills. And I was showing her what I'm capable of. And she decided to really support that. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, parents are awesome when they're really supportive and you
Man.
don't have to worry about it. I was so scared to tell my mom because I'm like, oh gosh, she's going to say, you're going to just die a starving artist. You have nothing.
Mhm.
But no, it
Yeah.
wasn't that at all.
Yeah, I mean, based on what you told me about how she was in your upbringing, it would make sense to be like wary of like, man,
Yeah.
this is what I really want to do. I hope you're good with that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I wanna ask, how was it like a feeling of like refresh when you got into those art classes, or whenever you started to, let me see, I'm gonna try to rephrase the question. So many people are trying to figure out what to do, and so many people like have no idea where to even look. And
Hmm.
you were in that position and found a rhythm and a flow with art. And I'm
Hmm.
curious to know what that thing felt like, because I would like for people to know what feeling to look for when they're pursuing. Like if they're doing something and they're like, this is my thing. Some people don't know when they found a thing, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
I'd
so how did that
say
feel?
so. For me, when, basically taking art classes was like a second chance of college for me because it's like I wasted so much time figuring out what I want. And it was kind of my last hurrah, like, all right, this is it. That I know this is what I want. I worked hard to get to this position. So my mentality is let's try everything, take every class, learn every skill. That way I don't waste my time knowing like what ifs. If it's something I've tried it and it's not, like I'm not all about it, then forget it.
Mhm.
But I wanted to, if I'm going to be an artist, I want to be an artist in every way possible and then only focus on the things that I can control. So
Yeah.
for me, I'd say try everything. If you've been painting as an abstract painter forever, but you're still unsatisfied, try that realistic painting. Try that you got to just try everything because funny enough, when I was in college, I did have a professor that told me, there's photography exists. Don't paint realistic ever. And yeah, I never did. I never painted any of this stuff in college. And when I graduated, I didn't feel like an artist. I didn't want to do anything. I was just like, all right, I did what I did. I have my arts degree. Maybe I'm just gonna have to go into corporate. So at that point, I just wanted to graduate.
Mhm.
But I didn't know I was an artist up until like literally, I feel like this year is the year I'm like, oh wow, this is an actual like I'm an actual professional. Cool. This is my
Mhm.
job. And it took about probably 5 years for me to get to this point this year. I didn't really start making good money up until now. But yeah, in college I wasn't even painting, or after college I wasn't painting. I was working. And around COVID time, I was working like I was obsessed with making money that I had so many different jobs. Like I had my main full-time job and then full-time I was consulting on the side and then I was doing my other little like graphic design marketing stuff. So I was just kind of full work mode, no creativity time. And then when COVID happened, that's when I had all the time in the world because I started losing jobs left and right.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
still had all my stuff from college still left over in my apartment. And I thought, all right, let's do this thing. Everybody's baking or drawing. Let's get back into it. So
Mhm.
um yeah, I the one thing I remembered is, all right, I never got to do exactly what I wanted to do. I have all the time in the world. I'm going to paint a lion and do the most realistic thing possible and create my own style and process. So it started with that one painting, and that one painting is the one that took off. So it
Mhm.
took many years for me to try something I really wanted to try. Even if you're scared, I mean, just go for it. You never know what happens, and post it too. If
Mhm.
nobody knows what you're doing, then it's never gonna really go get out there.
For sure. But, like, you
I feel like
could
I was rambling.
have no, no, it makes a lot of sense. But, like, you could have done anything. Like, you could have started roller skating. You could have started,
Mhm.
like, I don't know, like, carving shoes. I don't know, like, you could have done anything. Why did you go back into art, specifically after you decided to put it down?
Because I think because that was the main thing. I mean, ever since I was little, it's either a pencil or a brush. I did graphic design and stuff like that, but the traditional feels the most natural and it's the most fun and a good getaway. And when I was in school, painting abstracts and stuff required a lot of thought. And I thought, I don't really want to think. I just want to use this one picture and just kind of mindlessly fall into the details because when it comes to details, I kind of flow and get lost in it. So I decided to do that. I had nothing but time, 2 weeks of just eating a lot of bread and painting.
Yeah,
And,
that's
Tiger King was also the big thing there. So when I did the lion, everybody said, "Oh, do a tiger next." So then I did a tiger, which is actually hanging in here, and it's one of the paintings one of the 2 paintings I will never sell because it's actually one I did out of my head. I didn't really use a picture, so I don't know exactly if it's an accurate tiger, if it's a Malaysian or Siberian, I don't know. So in my artworks, I like to make sure everything's pretty accurate if I'm gonna let it sell or go home.
mhm. That's so what was that like after you finished that lion piece?
Mhm.
You decided, "Hey, I'm gonna just go for it." You ran it, and what was the what was that factor of like, "Okay, I'm gonna share this," and then
Mhm.
afterwards, like, you said that that's the one that popped off. Did it go viral, or what happened?
Not really like viral, but when I posted it on Facebook, it did go viral in a way where a lot of my friends and family were sharing it, and I mean, only getting from like 80 likes on Facebook to it went to like 400 something is a lot for me
Mm,
back then.
yeah.
So when that happened, I was like, oh, wait, this is cool. And a lot of people, even family members, are like, wait, you can paint? You know how to do that? So it was to the point that I really wasn't doing anything. I wasn't showing anybody art. And that one thing where people reacted, they're like, wait, show us what else you can do. It gave me the confidence, like, okay, let me try tiger next then.
Mm,
Let's see what happens. And it's everybody's reaction that kind of gave me that confidence too, like, okay, so this is something, they like this. I enjoy doing it. Let me do another one, see what happens. And it just kept coming and kept happening. By the time I got to the horse painting, trying to remember how many paintings I've done by the time I got to that one. That's when my old bosses and people I used to work with in the museum, they saw it. And they
hmm
said, "Wait, when you were working in the museum, you didn't tell me you were painting." So they called me back over and I had a solo show over there. It
mm,
was just amazing that, you never know what people think until you really show it.
absolutely. You never know who's watching. So
Mhm.
you said that you worked in a museum.
Mhm.
When was
Yep.
that?
That was like 2016, 2017. So while I was finishing up school in Kennesaw Art School, I interned at the Booth Museum. And the way that happened was we were doing this little, I didn't know about the Booth Museum. And one of our art classes, our professor decided to take us over there because it's a really beautiful museum and it's not too far from Kennesaw. So we did a little trip and I fell in love and I just went on their website and I saw that they had an internship and I was like, yeah, might as well. It's not paying, but it's something, it's a foot in the door. I don't know what I want to do in my life. And I thought, might as well check out what the museum life is like.
Hmm.
So when I said try everything, I was like, even if it's not paying, that means I have a better chance. Not a lot of people want to get a job where they don't pay you,
For sure.
but I wasn't really sure if that's what I wanted to do anyway. So went for it and fell in love with it. And what's funny is that I wasn't really good with public speaking either and talking to people and during interviews. So I forced myself to get jobs where I'm uncomfortable to train myself to be a better public speaker and
Mm.
just communicator in general. So I became a docent.
A what?
A docent. So a docent is somebody who gives tours in the museums. I had to learn
Okay.
about everything
Hmm.
and learn the history and then teach it. So I would
Okay.
do school groups and teach them about all the different exhibitions and like the Indians and learning about their regions and learning about Lewis and Clark. It was really cool. So I'm an art history and history nerd. So I love doing that kind of stuff. And I was also doing sips and strokes at the same time.
Hmm.
So 2 very public things that I really didn't wanna do, but I was like, "You know what? I got these jobs, might as well master them and get better as a person."
Yeah. Part of the reason I started this podcast even was to help up my communication skills. I
Mhm,
want to be better at public speaking as well, but I really I really value being able to have like a good one-on-one conversation with people.
mhm,
And so this is kind of like my journey towards doing that. But do you have any tips for people struggling with communicating in terms of like being able to get the thing
mhm,
out that's in your head out
yeah.
into the into the world?
So, one thing, especially, when you're anxious, you think too much, right? You're thinking like, "How am I talking? How's this person perceiving me?" You really gotta throw that away. All the tips I would get from people is imagine a sea of naked people. Like, just imagine they're more embarrassed than you, basically, and they don't know anything. You're there to teach them. So many tips like that from people who would already volunteer and give tours and everything at the museum. They're like, "Hey, if there's something that you're not exactly sure, for me, what helped me is knowing the cues of if you don't know something, like the right verbiage. So, like, oh, that's a really good question. Let me get back to you. It's like interview stuff like that, how to answer it right. So it really did teach me how to kind of just be more confident. That's all you really need. Just be confident. Think of the other person as, they're just as embarrassed and clueless and they're just there to learn. So it's really easy to get into your head, but you just got to
Mhm.
put that front. Just pretend, be confident, even if it's false confidence. If you show that confident front, even if it's a false information, that person will have no idea.
Yeah. So
I'm not
was
saying
it
give false information, but you know.
no, no, no. It's like a fake it till you make it feel,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. It becomes natural, and eye contact and everything will come later on, which I used to have trouble with that. So I started
Yeah.
off with staring at them right here.
Hmm. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool. I never thought to they always say pick an eye. That's what I always
Yeah,
learned is like pick an eye and just like hit that, just stay on that.
yeah,
But staying in the
yeah,
middle, it is kind of like you're looking at them, but you're not
yeah.
on the I don't know, like
So
the
you're
the
close enough, and every now and then you can, look at the eye, but then when you're anxious, okay, go back over here. Just don't
run
look at them
away.
on their forehead. Apparently, it makes people nervous.
Like do they have something on their head or something like that on
Mhm.
their face?
Unless you're in a situation you need to make them nervous, you can stare at them on their forehead and end the
Mm.
conversation early. A lot of weird things that you learn.
Did you have any moments during that where you were trying to do something and it just didn't work out, like, in terms of your communication, like,
Oh,
did
yeah,
you
absolutely. There are many times where I either have tongue twisters or I'm not getting something out and or, brain farts, I don't remember the information. I
Mhm.
start laughing and joking. Like, I get really awkward, but I start getting a little weird too. But it
Yeah.
kinda works. My personality is a little strange anyway and quirky. That part comes out, I just, joke around, and I'm usually honest. I'm like, "Hey, I just had a brain fart, by the way. This is happening." But, I don't know, follow it by a joke or make them laugh and then just move on. We're
Yeah.
human, there's only so much, just don't make it too awkward, you know? If you're quiet and don't do anything and you get scared, then that makes things worse for you. You start getting anxious about it and you think back like, "Oh, man, why did I do that?"
That's
Just
me. Oh,
yeah, just
that is
just
me,
be
that is
honest.
me.
Honestly, being honest has been the most fun because I mean, if I just tell them like, "Hey, wow, that totally left my mind. That works better than, uh, well," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so real. I had a job
Mhm,
interview one time, and they asked me a question. I can't even remember what the question was. It was something very simple, like, "What
mhm.
impact do you think you can bring to this company?" Or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And no lie, sat there and I was just there. Just I had nothing to say legit for like a good 25 seconds, just sitting there in complete silence. And I knew I didn't get the job because like as I was saying, folks were like trying not to laugh and like doing all
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, oh, it's raps. But I just remember for a long time that was one of those things that like I thought about and I just cringed, like, oh, just why did I do that? And then it's because like it's silent, and then you think
Mhm,
about the silence, and then you think
mhm.
about how they feel about the silence, which makes it kind of starts the
Yeah,
cycle
yeah,
again, and it's like it's
exactly. It
hard
makes
to get
things
out of there. And
exactly.
yeah, being able to kind of sidestep it, or you call
Mhm.
it out, like that helps. That helps a lot.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And I mean, in those moments too, people still get hired if they recover well. Like, it's the confidence.
Yeah.
It really, at the end of the day, it's just being confident, even if it's not, if you're really not confident, just fake it.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother energy.
Mhm. Have you ever seen there was somebody talking about trying to get their confidence together, and they said it was so inspirational. This dude, apparently he was going to introduce himself, and in the
Mhm.
introduction he farted, like in the mid, just and he didn't even flinch. He just said, "Excuse me," like right after. And the person was so like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Like I would have been mortified had I farted mid introduction, but he just owned it and just like, "Yep, excuse me." And I'm like, I that just seems like that's like a different breed of confidence to me.
Yes, it is. Honestly, I would laugh and go, "Wow, that was unexpected. Just keep going." Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, That's crazy. I hope to get to that point in the
You
future.
will, you will. I mean, it takes some practice too. Like I said, I didn't start off. Oh my gosh, I have to tell this. Okay. So my very first tour that I got to do solo at the museum because I would shadow people and learn how they speak and practice. My very first one, I got these new pair of pants, and of course, I never really tested it out in the sun. It was
Hmm.
completely see-through.
Hmm.
Completely see-through pants, and I was going through there's these stairwell area, and there's this really beautiful sculpture, and the light filters through,
Hmm.
and I saw my bosses just looking at me, like, acting like this, and the whole time, I'm looking at them like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not talking correctly," or, I didn't realize my pants are see-through. Luckily, they're
Mm.
children, but they didn't one kid did go, "She forgot to wear her pants."
Oh no.
And that's when I kinda knew, like, "Wait, what?" Well, I was really confused, and then my bosses are just acting like this. I'm like, "I'm doing something weird, like, I'm not talking correctly, or my eye contact's strange." So things started to get in my head, but you know what? I'm like, "Whatever, screw it. I'm already up here, let's just keep going." So I
Yeah.
confidently just went through the whole tour, and I did have a mom come by and say, "I wanna say you're really brave for just not caring and just going through it." Because when the
Mm.
girl said, "She forgot to wear her pants," I didn't really think like, yeah, see-through pants. Um, I really hope my bosses watch this and remember this moment because it was pretty bad. Um, but yeah, later on, we went downstairs and they're like, "We couldn't tell you, but you did a really good job, by the way. You're a really good public speaker. You're just wearing the wrong wardrobe."
Man. Hey man, it'd be
Yeah.
like that. It'd be like that sometimes. And like that's good on you for being able to just own it. I mean, it's kind of like the dude that farted for real. It's like it's something that could
Yeah.
completely derail the whole thing, but you just owned it.
I'm like, "We're already here. You already see this. Let's keep going. Whatever."
Yeah, I think it helps just push that idea that, the confidence is everything. Because I
It
mean,
is.
because you still had the tour, you still did what you needed to do. It was but,
Mhm.
people or situations will try to derail you, but if you don't let it, it won't happen.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if you think of this, I mean, it's a weird thing to say. If you think about like bullying back in the day and stuff, the people who allowed it and let things get bother them, they become targets. Whereas if you're confident, no matter what, people just kind of, even if they want to make fun of you, they're like, "No, I respect you because you actually could, you know, just kind of recover in any situation." And I find those people I respect them so much, like, people who are models, like, on the catwalks and fall, but then the way they get back up. I pay attention to that versus, like, doing everything perfectly because 'cause we're human at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah, it helps remind you of that too, because a
Mhm.
lot of these performances, especially something like a fashion show where it's all about the character, it's all about the persona and like
Mhm.
just owning that, I guess, that vibe. And just those times when you can kind of show the human in you, I think, they
Yeah.
can be embarrassing to specific people, but I think that it is something that helps, like, cut through that tension or through it helps, like, connection,
Mhm.
happen a little bit easier too. Because then, like,
Mhm.
somebody out there is gonna be like, "I get it. I would've fell
Yeah.
too," or like, "It's all good, you got back up, we're cool." So those are moments that can definitely be, like, appreciated, in the long run.
Absolutely. And I feel like it applies to art too. I mean, I really respect people who try anything and throw it out there and see what works. I mean, you gotta experiment as an artist, that's what we do. And
Mhm.
try it all, see what works. You can't
Yeah,
be too scared.
yeah, I wanna know so I was watching this interview with Tyler, the Creator,
Mhm.
and I thought about how I mean, Tyler does some crazy stuff. Do you listen to his music or, are you familiar with him?
I used to, yes, I'm familiar.
So, I mean, if you're looking at his persona, every album he has like some different like persona or some character that he puts out. And I mean, sometimes he be looking crazy. And I can imagine people being like, yo, what are you on right now? But he's like, I'm doing me, at
Mhm.
100%. And even though it's throwing people off, it's oftentimes that thing that brings a lot of people his way because
Hmm.
it's starting up like it's making waves. It's starting up, just turbulence. It is, you
Hmm.
know, disrupting the flow. And I think that even when you think about some of the most famous artists, at least in like modern art history, it's like they
Hmm.
do things that just go against the grain, or they kind of like they piss everybody off, or they just do something unfamiliar. And I just want to know how artists like us in this community can like do something like that where we can actually bring in a lot of just eyes for just doing
Hmm.
something outlandish, because it seems like we all do the same things like objectively like on paper, but like how what would be some of your ideas of like disrupting the flow, or like just wanting to do
Getting
something
noticed.
outlandish? Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it doesn't have to be outlandish. Of course, there are some artists that have to do crazy things to be noticed, but
Hmm.
I mean, it can be as simple as something, um, just having a connection. Your art has to make sense, like having a story and narrative where a connection where it helps people, where it
Hmm.
could be, let's say like me and my art, I try to connect it with conservation. Like if there's a story, it makes sense. If there's a message and there's a connection relationship where it does good, that could also really spread really far. That grows legs right there.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that people can do it. Yeah, we're all doing the same thing, creating such beautiful things, but how are you marketing it? What kind of voice does that art have? I think that is what matters the most because that's
Hmm.
what relates to people. It's not just the art, it's also the artist. It's the artist's motive, it's the art's motive. And what can this thing do in the next 10 years?
Hmm.
And I think you gotta, as a creative and as an entrepreneur, you can't just think of right now. You gotta think of, how is this gonna work later on? What is this gonna do for me 10 years, 5 years?
Hmm. Do you find is that kind of the way that you like to move now? Because
Mhm.
some people are very particular on expressing exactly who they are right now and exactly what they believe in right now versus what will look good later. Like they kind of let later come through when they're there. Do you how do you feel about that kind of outlook?
Sorry, repeat that one more time.
So so you just explained how, artists, it would be smart for them to move in such a way where like you're thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
the future. And then there's
Hmm.
other artists who are very big on expressing themselves like currently right now. Even with
Yeah.
Tyler, he's like, I'm
Yeah.
always trying to do what I feel right in this
Hmm.
moment. And so how do you feel about that outlook, and do you try to strike a balance between the two?
Absolutely. Because I mean, there are some things that I feel like I always have 10-year plan or like my goals in place, but it always kind of shifts. It changed because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week, what kind of opportunities will come up.
Mhm.
So I do have my outlook, my plan, but then it always shifts a little bit. My 1-year plan is usually pretty consistent, but it's the far away, the overall plan at the end that will kind of change a little bit because I got new inspirations, met new people, learned something new. Because I mean, we're always evolving as people. So of
Mhm.
course our ideas and art's going to change as well.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's a good balance of both. It's staying true to yourself and making sure you have that long-term goal, but
Mhm.
then also being open-minded to changes and, enhances here and there. So I didn't know I was going to really fall. I wanted to get into conservation. I didn't know how my art was going to help with that. But meeting the right people and talking to other biologists and other wildlife artists and everything, it started to make sense. Like David Shepherd's Foundation, all that, and the wildlife artists and helping animals and just conservation in general. I thought, wow, this makes sense. I'm doing things that could help with that. And um, before I didn't really think too much. It didn't make sense. I had all these ideas in place, but then meeting the right people and getting the right experiences kind of put it all together and solidified.
Mm.
solidified it. So yeah, I think
And
it's both. Mhm.
how are you able to meet those people?
For me, it's through all kinds of connections. So I try to talk to as many people as I can, even if it's through just like going through different museums, trying to reach out to people.
Mhm.
I'll connect to somebody on, like Instagram or social medias too. Just being consistent and meeting people who happen to know other people. It's just kind of I always go through networking events and going out to try to meet as many people as I can and talk to them and learn about them. And I kind of grew that personality as through my different jobs and everything too that I kind of forced myself to do. So with marketing too, you always have to talk to people, have to learn and see what's out there. So I would do my best to kind of even galleries and like curators, I'll reach out to them and try to
Mhm.
learn, but like, hey, how can I improve myself? You just can't be scared because the worst they can do is say no.
Very true. That I keep that very close. My mom told me that very
Mhm.
early on, and she's like, you can't be afraid to ask people. It's not like
Mhm.
they're gonna be like, no, and because you asked, never like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
all they'll do is just be like, no, like we're not interested or, we're good. And, I think also in terms of networking, I think it's very helpful when you can find yourself in like where you are a novelty. And somebody was saying they were talking about this like in a dating sense of like going somewhere where like the people don't know you or you do something
Mhm.
different from the people around you. And I think that that same thing can help in a business sense too, where
Yeah.
if you always go where all the artists go, you're just another artist. But then if you go
Mhm.
somewhere where nobody's creative, then like you're you're like the talk of the event.
Mhm.
And I think it would help creatives to get to places that creatives don't normally go to because
Yeah.
you'll have some better chances with like just having people be genuinely interested in your work.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm,
And you never know who you run into that gives you these cool ideas too. Like, hey, we have a gala that will help, this so and so. And if you put your art in here, you never know what kind of reach you'll get. And I mean, I did a lot of that too. I donated so many pieces here
mhm,
and there and got the right eyes on them, or even just kind of marketing my studio. I never know who's going to just walk in here and look at something and say, oh, this would work really well in like a boutique hotel or something. And there's that whole kind of income stream right there with boutique hotels and working with designers and stuff. So I mean, there's so many different channels that you can go down. It's just you just have to see what makes sense and meet the right
absolutely,
people.
absolutely. So then how did you get from there or how did you get to there from I guess
Mhm.
from like starting that first painting during the
Mhm.
pandemic? Um Like, you told me about the museum job, you told me about
Mhm.
some of the other jobs you had, but well, you said that was pre-pandemic, so you started painting again during the pandemic,
Mhm. Yeah.
and, what was that journey like from that first lion painting to, like, today?
You know. Um, it's been a really wild journey, kind of running into the right people and
Mhm,
also it just being the right time and everything, I guess. But
mhm,
I've been really consistent too. So I'm just doing the same thing, developing a style. With other companies, I learned how to establish a business, brand them, create a look, and market the crap out of it and have that one look. So it turned into a project. I thought, all right, this lion took off. Maybe this can be my logo. Let me be consistent, create a collection. So my dream was always to be able to develop my own style and create a collection. And as an artist, you want somebody to look at a piece and go, wow, that reminds me of Cam or Ash, or, if somebody
mhm,
see it and just recognize that that was your touch. That was something I've always wanted to do. So I thought, all right, I keep it really simple, black and white, very realistic. I'm just going to keep going with it until somebody picks up. So I did that. And then, yeah, when it got to the horse, that's when that curator noticed and had my solo show. But before that solo show, I had a bunch of friends that happened to be friends with other people who owned a little winery.
Mhm.
So he became my friend, Cody, and he noticed my stuff and said, "Hey, every now and then I, have bring in an emerging artist, and I really like your stuff. You want to have a little solo here?"
Mm.
For I don't remember, I think it was the month of August from like 5 years ago. So I said, "Yeah, sure, that's awesome." So put it all in there, and I met a lot of people there. And when I had that whole collection up, that's when the museum said, "All right, you're having a solo here because that looks awesome." So I had the solo at the museum, and then I just kept busting out paintings. I did nothing but paint for this museum and have enough paintings for it,
Mhm.
and just posting as much as I can and doing time lapse videos. And it turned into people really started to pay attention. It was really fun, and it turned into a whole thing, and I ended up with publishers. So Wild Wings and Art Brand Studio noticed it when it was Western Art Collector. They featured my solo show on their magazine. And that's when my publishers saw and they said, "All right, we want to sign you." And then I
Mm.
ended up with publishers. So it's just like I got so many eyes on myself because I kept throwing it out there
Mm.
that the right people reached out to me. But I was really selective about who I respond to too, because you don't want to waste your time with certain companies that are, just gonna waste your time and make them look good, but not really work on you, but just collecting artists. So
Mm.
you have to be careful and have the right attorneys and, you know, the support around you to make sure you make the right decisions. But I
For
went
sure.
from that to I started to sell, I got some licensing deals and started to sell puzzles in Germany. And then from there,
Really?
yeah, puzzles in Germany. And a lot of my artwork started to get noticed there through licensing. And Global Fine Art Auction noticed my stuff. My It's a deer painting with the gold dripping. And ever since then, I got a call from them, and then I had my first debut for this auction on May 5th and sold out, and it's just been taking off ever since.
Man, that's beautiful. I
Thank you.
saw a little bit of that, um, like, earlier today, the
Mhm,
auction, and, like, such a cool thing that they do, and, like, that they really I mean, they give you the chance to show you, as an
mhm,
artist and that in your story, and, like, even listening to the people that were, like, talking about how important the piece is and, like, what
mhm.
it would mean to have that piece is really special too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
listening listening to you explain that, I thought of a couple of questions. The first one I had was, you said that you made this and you wanted to keep it going, so you decided, let me put together like a brand, or let me start up like a
Mhm,
specific style.
mhm,
And I mean, how would you go about telling somebody how to do that? Because I feel like that's like an aspiring artist, like freaking Excalibur, like just that's like their
mhm.
North Star. They're like, man, I want to find my style. I want a style. I want a
Yeah.
style. How do I figure it out? And like, how did you figure out your art style?
Mm. It took a lot of years of experimenting, like what I enjoyed. So one of my professors, he had us do not really experiment, this project where we don't use color because he did say a lot of people are so distracted. Color can be so distracting and used as a crutch versus
Mhm.
where if you remove that and only use value and details, that will really refine your skills. So I kind of took that to heart and I thought, you know what, before I figure out exactly what my style is, let me refine the hell out of my skills. Because I did really enjoy black and white. Every time I did do black and white, it was very realistic, but I was just thinking, all right, hyper realistic.
Mhm.
So I fell into that hyper realism because I knew I've always admired people who do hyper realism. So I just really wanted to tackle that. And when I did, I thought, wow, I enjoyed that because before in college, all the things I was doing, I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. The process was terrible. So for me, it's more like, oh wow, I really enjoyed that process. I really like painting animals. That was enough for me to be like, let me see if this is something that can take off. Um, but I wasn't thinking exactly like, is this my style? Is this my style? Because I still felt like it was developing. I didn't feel like that was my style. But it was the reaction and people giving me that, um, the positive reactions that I thought, all right, let me just keep going with it. And it turned into my style. But before I did everything. And I think it takes, what do you really enjoy? Focus on that. And that one, the top three things that you really enjoy, you kind of just keep going with it. And that's what I did. And I mentor some kids too. And those are the tips I give them. I'm like, hey, when you're painting, think of your top three things that keeps you painting. Like, what do you really enjoy? Is it the color? Is it the process? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the subject matter? And then just keep going with that and finding out, because you don't want to exhaust yourself and do the things you don't exactly want to do. What if you are you know, an abstract painter and you're doing hyper realism, you hate it. You got to go back to it. Your style is what you're happy with, what you're comfortable with doing. It's like your handwriting.
Yeah. So
That
real.
was my-
It's quite literally the way you do it.
Mhm.
And I mean, you have a style whether you like it or not. It's literally the way
Yeah.
you do it. And
Yeah.
I think that's the funny part. Like with people who can't really see their style yet. They're like
Mhm.
they think it's something you gotta go and like buy at the store. Like, are
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
something I get at level 5 or something. It's like, no, you already have it. You just
yeah.
it's
You just
more
gotta
so of
refine.
like, yeah, it's like you kind of tailor it and like tweak it
Mhm.
and just work at it until it's something that you can enjoy seeing.
Exactly.
And my other question was, you said that you were very selective about who you chose to respond to.
Yes.
And I think, I mean, I don't know any professional artists who haven't had at least one bad experience with like a client or
Mhm.
with somebody who's trying to work with them. And
Mhm.
do you have any tips for discernment in terms of when you're going through, say you post a picture, it blows up, you get 100 DMs all looking to have some sort of, business with you. What
Mhm.
are you thinking about? What kind of process are you running these people through to vet them?
Well, definitely, I wanna know their portfolio and what they do, what they bring to the table. On top of that, if there's a contract, what does it entail? Because exclusivity is really it's a scary thing. So for me, I can't exactly learn from other people's experiences, but reading a lot about how artists get taken advantage of and learning about the business world too, and how, I mean, people are snakes. You got to be
Mhm,
careful. Artists, especially, they're kind of viewed as desperate people trying to make money.
mhm,
So that's the mentality you have to throw at the table. Yeah, we do want to make money, but we also want to keep making money. You don't want to get trapped in something that they're going to use you as a workhorse and use your art, but they're benefiting and you're just working. And that happens a lot. And if a lot of people probably haven't looked into this, but Bob Ross and his estate and that whole mess, that
what's
is
that?
kind of a, oh, you have to watch the documentary. So
Mhm,
Bob Ross, when he got linked with these marketing friends and these business people that turned him, his art into a business, they slowly, because of his love of art, they took advantage of him. And basically, his whole family today, his son, he can't even use their last name because these people have stole their estate, the last name, and turned it to, yeah.
mhm,
So those things happen. And that's something I've been really, I never thought myself in a way where I'd be in that position where I would, like, I'm going to be so famous that people are going to use me. No, I never thought that. But what if, So those are things I always wanted to protect myself because you can, be with this company that makes so much money, but then they're not going to do much for you. They're not going to push you. It's going to be just about them. And maybe they won't give you jobs and just let you sit there. You got to see who they work with, what they have done for that person. Read the contract, read it 3 times, share it with your attorneys, and protect yourself always.
mhm.
So I just don't, I'm a queen of not wasting my time. And that is one of the things as an artist that's really scary. It's like you do have to vet the crap out of these people and check it 5 times because once you're stuck, and your art is your livelihood. So
Absolutely.
crazy
Like
world.
People be playing around with your coins, with your
Mhm.
life, and it's like, man, no. Like, yeah, I'm a firm believer of like, I mean, you have one contract, like having your own contract on top of whatever contract they're gonna give you, because like
Yeah.
you gotta, because even if you miss something in their contract,
Mhm.
being able to have your own is kind of just like that second layer of
Yeah.
protection for yourself. Because you just, like you said, you just never know what people
Yeah.
got going on sometimes. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, man. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, the whole business side of the art world is so wild. Um, it's just learning about it has been very interesting. Like auctions and everything.
Mhm.
It's a whole nother animal.
Yeah. So for the people, I know a lot of people who pursue art, they're not very business savvy. There's
Yeah.
a not everybody, I wouldn't even say most, but there's a lot of artists who are just good at art and they don't really know business all that well. And with you knowing business, what do you think that a lot of artists are doing wrong that they
A
should
lot of
start
artists
incorporating?
are just trying to create, I do see a lot of artists and art is and it's a channel for getting your emotions out there and everything. But most people pay attention to artists and art that actually does something,
Mhm,
whether it's a message, but not a personal message, you know what I mean? It always changes. What people want today is always different.
mhm,
But it's about your audience. It's not just about you. It is about how you connect with your audience. And there are a lot of artists that are very like, oh, this person doesn't understand me. So, they get very um I don't know, I'm just trying to think of a good example. But you have to think about your message, really. And in a business, who you are as an artist, it actually does matter because you are tethered to your art. And
mhm,
other businesses, if they want to work with you, it is about also your persona and how people perceive you, how your art's being perceived, and what are you doing for other people. And I'm not saying you always have to be like a volunteer, an advocate, or somewhat, but that is what people want. If you think of like actors and actresses and stuff like that, just because they're acting and all that, people will, they don't really care about that, but they care about the ones that are actually, doing something out there in the world and being a good person, having a good message. I feel like there's more layers to just art. It's also who you are as a human.
mhm. Yeah.
And getting that message out there is really important. And I know there are a lot of people are like, "Oh, my art will speak for itself," but it's not exactly true. If you want to get out there, you got to be the businessman. You got to be your salesman. You have to put it out there and explain why this is good for you, why this is going to work. And unfortunately, the world is like that. There has
People
to be a
really,
story.
yeah, story is important. And if it's something that's subtle, a lot of
Mhm.
times with art, it's like one image. And so it's a lot of
Yeah.
symbolism and metaphors. And so it's not always an explicit message.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is your responsibility to communicate that to people, if you want to, if
Mhm.
you care about people understanding your stuff. There's some people who don't care and they're just like, you figure out what it is, you interpret it how you want. But
Yeah.
if you want people to understand you, got to be able to communicate it, like,
Yeah. 'Cause
and
people wanna know who the artist is, and they wanna get to know you, or even if they can't get to know you, they create this image of the person they wanna speak to or, keep tabs
Mhm.
with. At least
Yeah,
that's the feedback I've gotten.
yeah, it's like another way to connect, where they're like, okay, I like the work, but I don't know who you are. And like,
Yeah.
all I see online is that you put up work. I don't
Mhm.
see you do anything else. It's not to say you're not doing anything else, but I don't see it. So I don't know how else to really connect with you. Like if we were to sit in a room and talk, like what am I supposed to talk about?
Yeah.
Like, especially depending on the kind of work that gets made,
Yeah.
is like you never know, like, if it's something like, oh, I just like to draw, Simpsons or like,
Mhm.
the remixes on like, popular culture and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know what to talk about,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And I
mm,
mean, I guess sometimes it could work for some artists, but then at the end of the day, it works because who the person is.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
true.
it goes hand in hand. People think they could detach themselves from their art, but you really can't. At least not in
Yeah.
today's world. People are too nosy. They need more information.
Hmm. So
But
with your art practice, then
mhm,
I'm curious to know more about your actual painting process. Can you explain, for me personally, the way that you paint fur to be like photorealistic is like
mhm.
insane to
Thank
me.
you.
And I don't I don't know. Like I see it, I'm like, what the heck? And like, can you explain painting fur to me like I'm 5?
Yeah. Okay. So, honestly, the realism aspect is really the proportions. Because even if I didn't put the rest of the face, if I put the eyes and the nose and the ears in the right place, your brain fills it in. So with fur, the most important thing is the direction, the line direction.
Mhm,
Because if you look at the way the fur is laying down on their, their facial structure, it goes around the bone, the way it turns, the way it starts to turn downwards over here is the direction of the fur that really means the most. But when I first start, I don't start just by fur. I actually get my highlights and shadows and figure out where everything's laying down. So I
mhm.
find the bone structure before the fur goes on. So
Interest
with fur, it's the line direction. And whenever I'm gonna start streaming soon, but whenever I do, I'm gonna focus the camera a little bit closer and kind of show the process a little bit more.
Mhm.
But it's the highlights and shadows and line direction, and those are the main
Right.
things.
Hmm. And what kind of tools I know you're, like, using brushes, but are there any specific kinds of brushes or any types of paint
Oh, good
that
question.
works way better than regular stuff?
Yes, so a lot of people think I'm using tiny, tiny brushes, but I actually use bigger brushes. I use flat brushes. And,
Yes.
filberts, flats, those are my favorite. The only time I do use round brushes, but that's kind of like the beginning levels because I just kind of figure out where the line direction's gonna go. I'm not really focusing on the line weight and the width and everything.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the actual detail part, it's actually bigger flat brushes because I have more control. It holds more paint. And then the
Mhm.
long script brushes only happens for the whiskers. So I do
Mm.
have certain brushes for everything, but my flats, those are my favorite.
Man, I'm so glad to know you're a flat brush fan because that is me. I don't really
Same.
like round brushes, like, at all.
Mhm.
Like, I could do without them entirely, but, man, just the fact that you can make a huge line on one side and then a skinny line on the other, you could get a corner if you wanna dot it, like, you got everything in that one,
Yeah.
and, like
And a lot of people don't realize this, but I can finish a painting with just one brush. One
mm,
decent size, like a medium one, I can do the whole thing with it. And
mm,
it's really just your control. It's practice and knowing how to control your pressure.
mhm. Have you ever thought of or have you ever thought of using, like, brushes for that they use for, like, nail designs?
I've thought of it, but it I don't know. I never really tried it. They are
Mhm,
kind of harder.
mhm.
So it's a good idea though. I can give it a try. I never thought about it. I mean, I thought about it, but I never attempted it.
Yeah, I was seeing somebody on Twitch and they were actually painting this like canvas bag and they were going around doing like some super thin line work and they had these brushes. I actually ordered them. You can get them pretty cheap. I got a set of 6 for like $9 or something. And they're these little brushes and they've got like the small this is actually a big one, but
Ah,
it's a tiny little
mhm.
brush and it's
I need
supposed to be able to like to get those minute details
one.
and I mean, and the fact that it has a case, because sometimes if you buy them in the set or if you buy them by themselves, they just let
Yeah.
just the hair just be out in the air, and I'm like,
Right.
bruh, that's how you destroy a brush.
Yes.
And the fact that it comes with this case, and the fact that like they are kind of springy, like they don't just
Mhm.
flow. So if you like dilute your paint a lot, and then you
Mhm.
can almost run it like a ink. Like look at this one. This one is
That is
like
amazing.
surgical, and it does
Yeah.
like, and it's kind of springy too if you see it.
Mhm.
And
That's
so
what you
like,
need. You need the springy ones.
yeah, so I don't know. I've been all the people I know who do like really like minute details. I've just been
Mhm.
sharing this with them because this has
I
been
definitely
like game changer.
definitely want to try that, especially on the smaller canvases. Because what's
Yeah.
nice about painting big is that I can do bigger strokes, but it still looks small because, the animal's so large.
What's the most annoying part about painting the way that you paint?
The time, how time consuming it is. And so there's different phases in my paintings that I really enjoy the most. So it's when I
Mhm.
first start. And when I first started off, it's fun because I just flow and get the proportions, but then after that, it's, finding the direction, line direction, is figuring things out that's a little annoying, but then after that, I could flow.
Mm, mm, okay. And also, um, is there a specific reason that you paint? Or I think that you explained it a little bit earlier, but I was curious as to, is there a specific reason or like a message that you're trying to convey by deliberately choosing black and white? But I think it was because of your brand, but if you have anything else.
Yes, so removing color, I think it's also removing distraction, which
Okay.
I know the professor did mention that, that was the project, but then I took it to heart where it really is intimacy, is stripping everything away and just being about the details and the raw image.
Hmm.
And I think it's an intimate relationship between the viewer and the subject matter. So
Mm,
I really feel like it's a great way to remove distraction and focus on the animal and subject matter.
yeah. That's so real. Like, because you actually, like, they do feel a lot more powerful in the
Thank
black
you.
and white than just with the colors. Like with color, it'd be like, oh, this is really cool, a painting of like, of a jaguar or something. But then when it's black and white, it's almost like, man, is this like
Yeah.
is this a spirit? Is this like, is
Thank you.
this, it's cool to see. It definitely has its own like air to it
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
gallery. And I think
Mm.
it stands out because a lot of people try to go for like the bold and the bright and the colorful, and like
Yeah,
to see something
which I
black and white
really
is like,
admire that
"Mm,
too because I wanna paint in color and do bold and beautiful things, but I feel like it doesn't really work for me, and for me, it's just, the details of black and white. I thought, "Alright, I'm gonna stay in my lane. This is where I'm happy."
mhm." You only ever have to buy two colors of paint, maybe a gray.
Yep.
Mhm. And
It's
then
really nice.
what kind of in terms of the future, what is your big overarching goal or your mission with your artwork?
I want my art to touch people in a way to kind of focus on the art conservation things too. I want to participate more. I'm trying to get with more biologists and conservationists so we can focus a collection on certain animals to save. And when
Mhm,
we do galas and charities, we want to raise money and then put that towards that. So that's the
mhm,
kind of stuff I want to do. And I want to follow the footsteps of like David Shepherd and have the foundation, Wildlife Foundation, and help people and animals and, just try to leave a good mark, do something good, and inspire other people and start that chain reaction. That's what I want
mhm,
it to do.
mhm. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I have a closing tradition on the podcast where it is the Vertex Podcast, and it is, the definition is like basically the point of connection. And
Mhm.
so I like to give the guest a chance to attempt to connect to any person or business, organization, etc., in the
Mhm.
world. And this is basically your chance to express that you'd like to connect. And I'm going to do my best to connect you with them, via this video. I cannot guarantee that it's going to connect, but
Yeah.
I will guarantee that I will try.
That means a lot. Thank you.
hmm So who would you like to connect to?
So somebody, wait, just like anybody I know to connect here?
Anybody. It could be any artist, any group, like a long lost friend,
Mm.
a company you'd always wanted to work for, anything, anybody.
Well, if I were to connect with somebody, oh man, that's a hard one. There are some people like I want to connect with, like Jeff Corwin.
Jeff Corwin. Who is Jeff
He's a
Corwin?
biologist.
Okay.
But I mean, there are a lot of people I do want to connect with in the art world. Like, who are some people I admire in ABV I haven't met yet? I'm like stuck right now.
All good.
There are so many people I want to meet, but in the art world too, like CJ Hendry, I think she's awesome. Um, and I know, who do I want to hang out with? I'm trying to think specifically in ABV. I feel like I met with everybody, but I haven't hung out with anybody. There's so many people I want to hang out with.
Yeah, they're cool
Um,
people.
like Glitter Toad, I love her. I only hung out with her a few times painting next to her.
hmm
And like Jessica Locklear, Locklear,
hmm
is that how you say your last name? Like, I want to connect with all of them more, like
Yeah.
outside of art. Um, I don't know. It's really hard. I want to hang out with everybody.
Well,
But
cool.
thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely. This was fun. It was a great conversation, and I think, it helped. I think it's going to help a lot of people, in the
Hmm.
future. Yeah, I'm sure it's helping people already, the people watching, but especially in the future as people watch it back, like, you let off a lot of really good gems, and I appreciate you once again taking the time to sit here and just talk with us.
Of course, of course. Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking with
Yeah.
you and anybody that, I painted with too. I'm glad that you're doing this and I get to know more about them.
Yeah, yeah. Keep watching. These people are just more and more interesting each and every
Hmm.
week. So, yeah. But yeah, just thank you once again and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'll talk to you
Absolutely.
again soon.
All right. See you.
Thank you.
Cool. Cool combos, man. Gotta love them. Thank you so much for watching the episode. One of my favorite things about doing this podcast is hearing about when someone resonates with something we said. It's truly the reason I continue to make these happen. Comment down below what stuck with you, and we can continue the discussion further. Also consider liking and subscribing. It helps me bring in more amazing creatives and helps me make this show better for you all every episode. Catch y'all next week.